becoming desensitized, have experienced so many aspects of war. Grossman's extended analysis of the mood of a retreating army is subtle and penetrating. His evocation of the thoughts and feelings of the inhabitants of a large city subjected to a massive bombing raid is almost encyclopedic, and the account of the defense of the Stalingrad railway station can stand comparison with the Iliad. Grossman's evocation of the inner life of young men who know they are certain to die within the next 24 hours is remarkably convincing. Grossman is a master of character portrayal, with an unusual gift for conveying someone's feelings through some tiny but vivid detail. The quiet, modest Major Berezkin, for example, has lost touch with his wife and does not know if she is still alive. Grossman tells us that on sitting down to an unusually lavish meal, Berezkin touched the tomatoes, hoping to find one that was fully ripe but not going soft. Then he felt embarrassed, thinking sadly how Tamara used to tell him off for doing exactly this. She didn't like him fingering the tomatoes or cucumbers on a shared dish. Grossman is equally deft in his shifts of perspective, moving between the microscopic and the epic, and showing the same generous understanding towards his German characters as towards his Russians. One of his most interesting creations is Lieutenant Bach, an intellectual and former dissident now yielding to the seductions of Nazi ideology. A company commander in one of the first divisions to cross the Don, he feels he is taking part in a venture of epic grandeur. He rose to his full height and stamped his foot against the ground. He felt as if he were kicking the sky. He could feel, it seemed, with his skin, with his whole body, the furthest reaches of this alien land he had crossed. 1,000 pages later, in the last part of Life and Fate, Lieutenant Bach realizes he has been deluded. This perhaps will come as no surprise to the reader. What is astonishing is Grossman's ability to enable us to sense how easily we too might have been deluded. Stalingrad is one of the great novels of the last century. If it has been overshadowed by its sequel, this is probably for two main reasons. First, we are still in thrall to Cold War thinking. People have been unable to conceive that a novel first published during Stalin's last years, when his dictatorship was at its most rigid, might deserve our attention. Eminent figures have been dismissive of Stalingrad, and it has been easy to assume that there must be good reason for this. I too made this lazy assumption for many years, and I am grateful to the historian Jochen Hellbeck for persuading me, albeit belatedly, to read the novel and judge for myself. A second reason is that none of the published editions of Stalingrad, in Russian or any other language, do justice to Grossman's original vision of the novel. There are many bold, witty, vivid, and perceptive passages in his early typescripts that have never been published, and have probably only been read by a few dozen people. Grossman's editors, who, like all Soviet editors, also played the role of censors, required him to delete them, and scholars have been slow to study and publish the wealth of material preserved in his archive. In this translation we have, wherever possible, restored these passages. It is an honor to be in a position to publish some of Grossman's finest writing for the first time. My hope is that this may allow readers to recognize the full breadth, humor, and emotional generosity of another of Grossman's masterpieces. 2. War and Peace has probably never been as widely read as in the Soviet Union during the Second World War. The authorities had every reason to promote the novel. Tolstoy was seen as a forerunner of Soviet socialist realism, and the novel's implications for the outcome of the war were obviously positive. War and Peace was broadcast at length on the radio. The two generals who played the most important roles in the defense of Stalingrad both spoke about how much Tolstoy meant to them. General Radimtsev said he read the novel 3 times, and General Chuikov said in a 1943 interview that Tolstoy's generals were the model by which he judged his own performance. According to the Soviet literary critic Lydia Ginsburg, civilians in blockaded Leningrad judged themselves in exactly the same way. The people's